Hello, welcome to our video dedicated to Kazakh traditions. In this video, we will introduce you to the customs of Kazakh people and more precisely to rituals of wedding ceremony. We will show and tell how weddings took place before and how they have been modified today, what has been preserved and what has been disappeared, and we will also introduce you to the different cases of weddings in Kazakhstan. So if you are interested in getting acquainted with all this beauty, we strongly recommend you to stay with us. Well, let's go! Kazakhstan has always been famous for its deep history and great respect for traditions that has been passed down from generation to generation over the centuries. Love for traditions and their reading is instilled from an early age, and all Kazakh families do their best to honor and pass them on. The wedding ceremony is one of the largest and most significant events in every Kazakh family. For such a holiday, families usually take a very long time, carefully prepare and celebrate on a grand scale. The wedding process itself, as a rule, takes about a week, including such rituals as sırğa salу, құдалық, matchmaking, kız uzatu, seeing off the bride, келін түсіру, meeting the daughter-in-law, and so on. Of course, with changes in society, the development of society, and so on, the way of life of people changes, and subsequently traditions begin to change. Although the essence does not disappear, some details change, and today they take on a more modern look. Nevertheless, there are those traditions that, by and large, are no longer used in many Kazakh families, but we will talk about them a little later. Now let's talk about everything in order. First, let's go through how weddings are held in Kazakhstan and why they last a whole week.
The very first stage in any Kazakh wedding is sırğa salу. What is it? Sırğa salу, or in other words, matchmaking, the day when the bride's family welcomes the groom's family. On this day, the groom's family asks for permission and approval from the elders of the bride's family and as a consent of both parties. The bride is put on earrings, which is a symbol of the upcoming marriage. After the ceremony, families begin active preparation for two weddings. It comes through the next tradition called kız uzatu, seeing of the bride. The ceremony is one wedding and it's arranged by the bride's side. In most cases, brides wear the Kazakh national costume for their wedding and leave the white dress for the second wedding. The whole family of the bride gathers at the ceremony and they, as it were, send their daughter to a new family. At the wedding itself, the Sangsu tradition is held, farewell to the daughter of this family and seeing off to another. All relatives of the bride stand along the white carpet laid for the bride and say goodbye to her, saying their wishes. The white path in this case symbolizes the bride's journey to a new life, so that everything is fine on her way and life is the same white stripe. The next stage usually comes the next day. This is the main wedding from the side of the groom. On this day, the newlyweds officially register the marriage at the registry office and receive a marriage certificate. When all groom's relatives have gathered for the celebration, the tradition of bet dashar begins, the first showing of the bride to all relatives. The bride is brought into a hall covered with a white scarf and veil, so that no one sees her face. And then it opens in front of everyone so that everyone is familiar with the new daughter-in-law. Once everyone has seen their new gelin, the actual celebration begins.
One of the final rites of the wedding is gelin çay, drinking tea from the hands of new daughter-in-law. Close relatives of the groom the next day after the wedding come home to the groom's family and drink tea for the first time, which the new gelin pours. Now, when we have the idea what weddings in Kazakhstan look like, we can analyze the different cases of weddings that affect their conduct. It is obvious that, like anywhere else, families in Kazakhstan have different social status, and how their children's weddings are held depends on this. There are cases when the families of the bride or groom are inferior, and this mainly affect the conduct of seeing. In cases where the bride grew up without a father or mother and they do not have the opportunity to arrange kız uzatu, both families come to an agreement and do it without a send-off ceremony. And if such situation exists in the groom's family, then their families come to the decision to arrange a small wedding for their closest one, because usually about 200-300 people are invited to a wedding, and this is the minimum. But there are also families with a good income, and they hold their wedding at a high level with a considerable budget. At such weddings, all traditions are arranged inside and out. Also, the financial situation affects what the bride's dowry will be. The dowry of the bride is collected by the girl's family and given to the groom's family as her things for the family life, so speak to the starter pack. Thing in dowry can be both the most basic and fancy, and all it depends once again on the situation of the families. Last but not least, we will talk about traditions that are gradually dying out and being used less and less. One of them is the tradition of al-prashu, shaft of the bride. This tradition has existed for many centuries, but over the time it has been changed in different ways. There are adequate cases when a guy takes permission from the girl's parents to al-prashu, but there are also cases when a guy steals unfamiliar girls on a street and forcibly brings them to their home. Such a shaft is misinterpretation of the tradition and causes horror among girls, especially in the south of the country, where families are generally very conservative. That is why this tradition is being used less and less. If you have watched the video up to this point, you are great. Today we have introduced you to how weddings are held in Kazakhstan, what are the cases, and what is no longer included in a marriage process. As you could understand from this video, the weddings have great importance among the people, and they are arranged at the highest level. Every detail, ritual is important in the wedding process, and every family wants to make everything beautiful and rely on all existing traditions. Thanks for watching and your time. See you next time.